Today, we're gonna do a skin taper. And with this skin taper, we're gonna start with the Andis LIs. And with these clippers, I'm gonna create my first guideline. And it's gonna go halfway up of his earlobe, as you can see. That's my point for my tapers. If this is the mid taper, that's the point I'm gonna bring my first guideline to. After I create that guideline, I'm gonna attach my Metal 1 guard to my Andis Super ZRs. And I'm gonna make the equivalent of about an all-purpose comb. My second guideline, about half of the width of the teeth of an all-purpose comb. It's gonna be my guidelines. And once I set that guideline, I'm just gonna come back in with my fast feeds with the lever all the way closed. That means the teeth are pushed flush. And I'm just gonna flick out at that bottom line that I created with my 1. Now, once I wipe that line out, I attach my 1.5 metal guard to my Andis, and with the same process and the same thing in thought, I create my second guideline. My guideline is still the width of a teeth of a comb, an all-purpose comb. Now I want to make sure that I always keep an instrument in my offhand. That way I can comb and brush whatever I just cut. Because when we're cutting coarse hair tends to move sometimes, and hair moves that you didn't even cut. So you have to make sure that what you're trying to accomplish and the cut you're trying to accomplish is actually there and still on his head, if barbers know what I mean. So I always do a thorough job of brushing and combing before I tend to try and cut something else off. Now here, you're gonna see me, I put my purple 0 guard on. And I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna chip at that bottom line that my 1.5 created. And you see me move the lever back and forth, and that's just to achieve the ultimate blend. Because again, I'm taking the bottom line out with it closed all the way, but I know that, certain hairs, they might be a little bit stronger, so I might have to move the lever up a little bit. And this is another important thing. When you're cutting hair, when you're doing a taper and the hair is longer on the top, like this one is, I like to separate the hair. I like to make the hair that is gonna be long and not cut, I like to make that evident. So you see me here, I'm gonna separate the hair and I'm gonna comb down what I wanna taper in. And here with the same 1.5 metal guard, I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna smooth this out. This is where I want my blend to stop at. So I know that everything that I do, I'm cutting into this blend. And if you don't have a Super Andis ZR, you can get the same. This is the same length as if you put a 0 guard on your clipper. This 1.5 is the same. If you put a 0 purple on your Masters and you opened it, you will get the same cut. As you can see, I go behind the ear just slightly, just to clear it up, because I don't want my blend to just drop at the back of his ear. I kind of want it to gradually fade. Now this last section of hair, I attach my purple 1 guard by Andis, and I'm just going in here and I'm flicking out. I'm lightening up the last transition that was left there. It was a line of bulk there that you see that was left. And the only thing I did was I attached my 1 purple, and I just went in and I'm freehanding right here. I'm lightening it up. Now we come to the back of the taper, and the same method applies. My Andis Super LIs, my Andis Pro Liner LIs. I'm gonna create my first guideline, and it's going across the bottom of his ear. This is my foundation line. So if you took a comb and rested across the back of his head along this guideline, they would touch both in the bottom of his ears. again, I come back, I attach my one metal to my Andis Super ZRs. And I'm focusing on really making this an even line. And when I say by even, I want the color texture to be one even shade. You shouldn't have dark spots and light spots in your transition. It should be all one tone of hair. Then I come back again, fast feeds. As you can see, my lever is all the way closed. I chip at the bottom line, and I slightly move it up. Again, I attach my 1.5, and as you can start to see, my process is the same. With the guidelines, that's why it's so easy to use them, because you can apply it to any spot on the head. And right now, the same method I use on the side is the same exact method that I'm using in the back. My 1.5, I'm making a quarter. I'm making the width of the teeth with the length of the teeth width. Now I attach my 0 guard, and I just chip out at that line. My lever being closed again all the way. And this will be my final guideline. As you can see, I'm reaching the top of the hair. So this right here, this is my metal 2. And I'm just really lightening the last of the bulk up, because this is a taper and this is not a fade. So I do want to keep the resemblance of a taper in there. So I'm not taking this blend too high. And again, I'm smoothing out. I want my blend to end here, and I attach my 1 guard, my purple 1, and I'm just free-handed. I go in here and I free-hand it. You'll see the lever move from closed to open to halfway open, and that's just because I want to capture as much of the transition as I possibly can. Right here, you see my lever is all the way open. That's because I'm cutting the hair closer to the longer hair. Now you see me close it. I'm back at the bottom of that guideline. This is what I like to call my fine tune. Even though I've went over all of the haircut with certain guards, I just come back and I fine tune it. Now my spritz, my holding spray, this is my go-to. When it comes to coarse hair, this is like the best method for lining up some sort of holding spray. Coarse hair tends to run from it sometimes when you line it up. So what I do is I spray it on and I allow it to dry, brush it in real nice, brush the hair down to its maximum length. And as you can see, my cutting angle, I just cut right into it. I don't slide my clippers up his head. My cutting angle is straightforward. And yes, I do have my blades modified. I have them modified to my liking, but I like the precise cut. I like the precision cut. Some barbers cut from under the hair. I cut from on top of the hair. And as you can see, if you look at my blade, you can kind of notice what I'm talking about. Like, I cut right at the hair. And that's the good thing about spritz, because it holds the hair in place and it won't let the hair run from your clipper. And right on these corners, I finesse the corner of my blade. When I'm making these turns and these curves on the fade or on the line, you have to really go in and finesse the corners. And here I'm just cutting as minimal hair as I possibly can to make this neat. And a lot of people, when you do the arch in the front and you're lining over the ear, a lot of people overlook the fact that those two lines are supposed to flow. It's supposed to be symmetry there. So line those up with one in sight. Don't just take off and line up the back behind the ear without taking a general glance at what you just did at the hook in front. These things go hand in hand. When I look at a haircut, I look from it for an all-purpose standpoint. I step back and look at it. And now we get to see me in live action. This is the haircut part that I like to take off on and just do me. It's not going to be too much more audio after this, so you guys just enjoy the film. Tell me what you think about the overall finished product. You can leave any comments, any questions you have. Make sure that you please contact, subscribe, and I will be back at you with more videos. Thank you.